Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for coming. Welcome. This news conference is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most important ones that we've had up to now and we will have in future. We thought that the so-called pandemic that was declared by the World Health Organization and that resulted in the loss of millions of lives and injuries to even more millions due to the administration of the prescribed experimental vaccines was immoral and even evil. But what was allowed to happen at the United Nations last week can only be described as outrageous. You'll remember that many scientists as well as highly qualified medical personnel all over the world had proven that the so-called vaccine virus was a hoax and that it was created for the sole purpose to force people to get the vaccine, which, as I said, was not even properly tested, and that has caused not only great harm but also the loss of millions of dollars by private companies due to the draconic regulations that we were forced to obey. When we spoke against it, we were called conspiracy theorists, but eventually we were proven to be right. It was clear that the globalists, through the puppet organization, the WHO, have failed completely with their agenda to reduce the population of the world with the so-called COVID pandemic. And we should be thankful to the Africans in particular, who in their millions have refused to be used again as guinea pigs and refused to take the experimental drug.
Na kama mapapai nayo yanaonekana ni positive yana corona, basi WHO inatakiwa ifanye kazi kubwa katika haya. Na kama mbuzi nao wana corona, na kama hawajajua hii corona ina affect binadamu au ina affect mbuzi au ina affect hata miti, basi wanasayansi hatujafanya cha kutosha katika hili.
We are now facing a much more serious problem that have been on the agenda of the globalists through the World Economic Forum. But now we are facing a situation that has the potential to change the world forever. And that is a so-called Pact of the Future that was accepted last week at the United Nations Organization, where we were represented by our President, Nangola Mbumba. Everything in the draft for the Pact of the Future is too beautiful for words, but the reality lies in what comes with it. It comes in two parts, with the first on science and technology and the second part, the youth and future generations. This is the World Health Organization's end around, since some months ago they could not get their treaty passed and they decided to take it to the General Assembly of the United Nations. And this pact is even more egregious than what the World Health Organization wanted to get passed. Let me just read to you some of the elements that is, according to our information, inside the so-called pact. This is the power structure, fully digital and maximized for the control of the masses. Everyone will be expected to have a biometric digital ID that marks them not just as citizens of the individual countries, but as global citizens. Anyone that has a dissonant opinion will be labeled as misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Perpetrators for unapproved information will be fact-checked and punished by the system, which will be operated and enforced by artificial intelligence. Punishments will include being locked out of one's bank account, being unable to make certain purchases, unable to get onto an airplane or subway or even drive on public roads. There are many other issues that need attention, like the acceptance of a curriculum of sexual education, as well as the interference of our military. The above is but a few of the ridiculous chapters in the so-called Pact of the Future. This is the future according to the world's self-appointed overlords in the United Nations. These are unelected bureaucrats making decisions about our country and our sovereignty. The pact even made provision for declaration by the United Nations whether an epidemic exists or not, and they can do it without our consent. We have been talking about this for a long time, about the one world order, one world government, one world religion, one world currency, and that is exactly what the globalists are trying to achieve now. Most amazing was that countries like Russia, North Korea, and Iran, amongst others, wanted an amendment that would ensure their sovereignty, but it was denied, and the pact was passed under 5 minutes in the UN. I've read the statement of our President Mbumba on the 21st of September at the closing session of the Summit of the Future, and my only comment is that he had no clue what he was supporting. I would like to challenge our head of state to reveal to the Namibian nation what he agreed upon at the Pact Summit at the United Nations. But I'm confident that he will not do it, because that will be the final straw that will break the back of SWAPO once and for all. An agreement of this magnitude was never supposed to be decided upon by only the President or even his cabinet, but had to be submitted to Parliament for the Republic of Namibia for ratification. Let us be very clear, Mr. President, you agreed to something that we are totally opposed to. We will not allow the SWAPO government to sell out our country in this manner. Our independence came at a high price, and we will do whatever necessary to make sure that that was not in vain. Our Constitution is sacred to us, and we will stand on that. We will not allow anybody, not the globalists, not the World Economic Forum, not the World Health Organization, and not the United Nations, to undermine our sovereignty as a nation and to prescribe to us to do anything that is not for the sole benefit of our Namibian nation. We insist that the President address the Namibian nation immediately and explain in no uncertain terms what his understanding is of the pact and why the nation, and especially our Parliament, was not aware of it. As far as we are concerned, the President had no authority whatsoever to sign the so-called pact for the future, because it will have massive consequences for us as a nation, and will without doubt lead to the end of our democracy. We want to encourage our peace-loving citizens to stand up against this evil agenda of the globalists who want to force us into a one-world government, where our sovereignty as a nation will be something of the past, and where our wonderful Constitution will just be a piece of paper. I would like also to urgently challenge all the other opposition parties to express themselves in no uncertain terms to the Namibian nation regarding this issue. We as the Republican Party want to declare that we do not accept the so-called Pact of the Future, and that was signed by the President of the Republic of Namibia. I thank you.